Welcome to this explainer. Look, if you've ever felt completely derailed by a breakup or some sudden relationship turbulence, you are definitely not alone. Today, we're going to architect a real strategy to stop relationships from consuming your entire life. We're talking about translating all that emotional turbulence into a structured, logical system upgrade. Basically, we're going to build what the source material calls a sovereign self. Okay, let's dive right into this.
We have to start by asking a super fascinating question. Why is it that high-achieving, incredibly capable individuals often experience a total system crash when their romantic lives hit a roadblock? I mean, you're smart, you're responsible, you're deeply analytical, and yet, without a strong, independent core, people with your exact profile tend to let the concentration of a relationship get higher and higher until it just swallows absolutely everything else. So, here is our blueprint for that system upgrade. 1. The system crash truth. 2. Redefining your life axis. 3. The 4 growth pillars. And 4. The daily stability check. All right, jumping into phase 1, the system crash truth. Let's diagnose that mental overload.
Think about your old mental architecture for a second. If your entire headspace over the last few years has literally just been occupied by 2 things, your work and your relationship, you've essentially built a very fragile ecosystem. When the relationship hits some turbulence, the whole system vibrates, and eventually, boom, it crashes. You really can't just heal from this. You have to completely restructure it. The goal here is to build a stable, personal, spiritual system that stands entirely on its own 2 feet.
Moving right along to phase 2, redefining your life axis. It's time for a major paradigm shift.
Here's the absolute crucial realization, and it's a massive shift in perspective. You are fundamentally a growth-driven personality. You just are. You aren't someone who can just exist on romance alone. You actually get your core satisfaction from progress, from learning, sharpening your business judgment, and constantly upgrading your cognition. If you try to make romance your primary source of achievement, your system is always going to reject it eventually.
Because of this specific personality type, standard breakup advice, getting that drastic haircut, going on a 3-day bender, or just trying to distract yourself, that simply won't work for you. Instead, you've got to pivot to a long-term strategic life plan. You need to focus intensely on progress. You have to build long-term goals that are vastly larger than any single relationship, treating your own self-improvement as a tangible, compounding asset. Which brings us nicely to phase 3, the 4 growth pillars. This is your 3-year strategic plan. Your first and honestly most critical pillar is wealth and career. But hold on, we aren't just talking about your daily grind or stressing over daily ROI. You need to build deep commercial cognitive assets. Basically, you're learning complex, high-value systems. Dive into studying direct-to-consumer brands, independent sites, AI tools, user psychology, and international markets. For a growth-driven personality like yours, that feeling of understanding how the world works just a little bit better each day, that provides massive psychological stability. Now, to actually execute this pillar, you've got to treat your intellect like a literal asset with exact maintenance protocols. We're talking dedicating 1 solid hour daily to deep industry learning. Then spend 30 minutes purely recording your thoughts on it. Finally, conduct a weekly commercial review. You can organize this in a digital workspace, like a Notion database, for example. This exact structure keeps your highly analytical brain fed and, more importantly, focused. For our second pillar, the body, we are totally upgrading the way you view fitness. You aren't just working out to burn off stress or vent your anger anymore. You are satisfying your naturally high need for control by mastering physical techniques over the long haul. Don't just show up at the gym, build a highly technical tennis serve system. Track your physical measurements, actively correct your posture, log your cardio endurance improvements. Mastering complex physical mechanics literally forces your brain to stay entirely in the present moment, which perfectly satisfies that high need for control. The third pillar addresses your spirit. Look, right now your reading and learning might be a little too efficiency-focused. You're probably just trying to get things done. We need a shift toward deep, nourishing inputs. I'm talking psychology, philosophy, thick biographies, and equally crucial here is engaging in what's called long output. Because your brain processes such a high volume of analysis all day, if you don't output it through voice diaries or writing down your observations, it just turns into an internal friction loop, which, let's be real, is commonly known as overthinking. Get it out of your head and onto the page. And pillar D, your 4th and final pillar, is your new social system. This is all about lowering that relationship concentration risk we talked about earlier.
You absolutely have to restructure your social life to relieve the heavy emotional burden you previously dumped entirely on your romantic partner. So, cultivate low-stress, highly diverse connections. Join founder circles, hang out with tennis buddies, attend English corners or language learning groups. Spread your emotional needs across a wide, vibrant network. Think of it exactly like this. You aren't just looking for substitute relationships or scrambling for someone to replace an ex. No, you're acting like a smart investor now. You are building a diversified portfolio of emotional sources so that a crash in one sector doesn't bankrupt your entire life.
Finally, Phase 4, the daily stability check. Let's get into the maintenance protocol.
The ultimate mindset of a mature, sovereign self is brilliantly simple. The relationship exists, but I remain stable. Note that you aren't aiming to become cold, distant, or incapable of love here. The goal is maintaining absolute structural integrity whether a partner is present in your life or not. You are perfectly stable on your own, the relationship is just a beautiful addition to the whole shebang.
And to make sure this stability actually takes root and sticks, you're going to focus on one specific number, the number 3, every single evening. By running through these exact 3 steps nightly, you practically guarantee your own independence. First, ask, what were my 3 most satisfying moments today? Maybe you had a major breakthrough in your business analysis, or hey, you finally nailed that tennis serve. Second, verify. Are these moments entirely unrelated to my relationship? If they're all about your partner, you're becoming unbalanced again. And third, balance. Confirm daily that the relationship is merely an addition, not the foundation. Your fulfillment absolutely must be derived from your own personal breakthroughs. At the end of the day, your real growth through this entire process isn't about learning to read other people better or endlessly trying to figure out exactly what went wrong with an ex. Not at all. It is entirely about pulling your center of gravity right back to yourself. It's about bringing the focus back to your own rock-solid sovereign architecture. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a real challenge for your architecture moving forward. Are you building a system that's strong enough to stand completely alone? Will your next relationship consume your entire life, or will it simply be a wonderful part of a life you've already mastered? Think hard about those 4 pillars, implement that daily check, and start building your sovereign self today.